The sun burned bright over the endless desert. The heat was so strong that the air seemed to shimmer. Sand stretched for miles in every direction. The sky was a clear blue, but the dry wind made the day feel even hotter. This was the planet Koresh, a place few humans wanted to visit. Yet Marcus and his small team had come here to study the strange land and its rare creatures. Marcus was the leader of the team. He was strong and smart, with years of experience in harsh environments. He wore a light suit designed to protect him from heat and dust. Today, the desert seemed especially quiet. No birds, no animals, just the sound of wind and the soft crunch of sand under his boots. Suddenly, Marcus spotted something strange ahead. There was a dark shape half buried in the sand. It looked like a person or maybe an alien. He quickly walked closer, his heart beating faster. What could it be? When Marcus reached the spot, he saw a woman. She was not like any human he had seen. Her skin was pale blue with faint glowing lines that pulsed softly. She had long silver hair that was dirty and tangled. Her clothes were torn, and she was lying on the hot sand, breathing weakly. Marcus knew she was hurt. She had cuts and bruises on her arms and legs. Her breathing was shallow. He looked around but saw no one else. The desert was silent, except for the wind. "Hey," Marcus said softly, kneeling beside her. "Can you hear me?" The woman opened, her eyes slowly. They were bright violet and filled with pain. She tried to sit up but winced. "Please," she whispered. "Help me." Marcus quickly took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. The sun was too hot and she looked weak. He needed to find shade and water fast. "Don't worry," Marcus said. "I'll help you." He looked for a place nearby where they could rest. Not far away, there was a small rock formation that could give some shade. Carefully, Marcus lifted the woman. She was lighter than she looked, but still fragile. As he walked, he noticed she carried a strange symbol on her chest, a small, glowing mark shaped like a crown. It seemed important, but Marcus did not know what it meant yet. They reached the rocks and settled down. Marcus pulled out his water pack and gave her some. She drank slowly, her eyes still tired but grateful. "Who are you?" Marcus asked gently. "Where do you come from?" The woman tried to speak, but her throat was dry. After a moment, she said her name was Zira. She was a queen from a distant planet. Her people were very different from humans. They had advanced technology and lived in a world far from this desert. Marcus was surprised. A queen? On this lonely planet? Why was she here, hurt and alone? Zira looked at him with a weak smile. "I was attacked. My ship was damaged. I escaped, but I was caught in a storm." Marcus nodded. He had heard about fierce storms on Koresh. Many explorers had been lost here before. "We need to get you to safety," Marcus said. "There is a research base about 90 miles from here. It is the closest place with help." Zira's eyes widened. 90 miles? Through the desert? "It will be hard," Marcus admitted, "but I will not leave you here." Zira studied Marcus carefully. There was something in his face. Kindness, strength, and determination. She nodded slowly. "Then let us go," she said softly. Marcus helped her stand. Her body was weak, but she was still a queen, proud and brave. The journey would be long and dangerous. The desert could kill them both if they were not careful. But Marcus did not hesitate. He wanted to protect Zira, to see her safe again. As they walked into the heat and sand, Marcus felt a strange hope. Maybe this meeting was not by chance. Maybe the future of both their worlds depended on this journey. The sun climbed higher, and the desert stretched before them, endless and hot. But Marcus and Zira took one step at a time, together. The desert sun rose higher, beating down on Marcus and Zira as they started their long journey. The heat was fierce, and the dry wind blew sand into their faces. Each step was heavy, and the ground seemed to swallow their feet with every move. Marcus helped Zyra walk carefully. Her body was still weak, and the wounds on her arms and legs burned under the hot air. He carried some supplies, water, food, and a small first aid kit. But he knew it was not enough for the long trip ahead. 90 miles, Marcus said, trying to sound strong. It will take us 2 days if we keep moving. Zyra looked at him. Her violet eyes showed pain, but also determination. I have survived worse, she said quietly. Marcus smiled a little. She was proud and brave, just like he had thought. But the desert was a different kind of danger, silent, harsh, and unforgiving. As they walked, the landscape changed. Sand dunes rolled like waves across the land. Strange rocks jutted from the ground like broken teeth. The sky was empty. No birds or animals in sight. Marcus kept watching the horizon. He knew storms could come quickly here. The desert was full of surprises. After a few hours, they stopped to rest behind a large rock. Marcus took off his helmet and wiped sweat from his face. Zyra sat down, her breathing still shallow. Drink, Marcus said, handing her a water pouch. You need to keep hydrated. Zyra took small sips, careful not to drink too fast. Your people are strong, she said softly. Surviving in places like this. Marcus shrugged. We learn to adapt. Earth has deserts too, but not like this. Zyra looked at him, curious. Tell me about Earth. Marcus smiled. It is a blue planet full of water, trees, and many animals. Humans live all over. We fight sometimes, but we also help each other. Zyra nodded slowly. It sounds peaceful. Sometimes, Marcus said. But we can be tough when we need to be. Suddenly, the wind picked up. Sand blew across the ground like a curtain. Marcus looked at the sky and frowned. A storm is coming, he said quickly. We need to find shelter. They moved faster, searching for any place to hide. Marcus spotted a small cave entrance near some rocks. It was narrow, but it would block the wind. Inside, the air was cooler, and the sand stopped blowing. Marcus helped Zyra sit down and covered her with his jacket. They waited quietly as the storm passed. Outside, the desert roared with wind and sand, but inside the cave, it was safe. Zyra looked at Marcus. Thank you for saving me. Marcus shook his head. I couldn't leave you out there. They sat in silence for a while. Then Zyra spoke again. My people have enemies, she said softly. That is why I fled. They want to capture me. Marcus's eyes widened. Who are they? Zyra looked away. A rival clan. They want to control my people's technology and power. Marcus nodded slowly. Then we must be careful. They might follow us. Zyra reached out and touched Marcus's hand lightly. You are brave, Marcus. I trust you. Marcus felt a warmth inside. This was not just a mission anymore. He wanted to protect Zyra with all he had. After the storm ended, they left the cave. The sun was low now, painting the sky with red and orange. The desert was still, but the danger was not gone. They walked through the evening, tired but determined. The stars came out, sparkling like diamonds in the dark sky. Marcus pointed to the Big Dipper, an Earth constellation. Look there, he said. That helps me find my way. Zyra smiled faintly. On my world, we have different stars, but the sky is always full of light. As the night grew colder, they found a flat place to rest. Marcus set up a small shelter with his equipment. They sat close to each other, sharing warmth. Zyra looked at Marcus and said, This journey is hard, but I am glad you are with me. Marcus nodded. Me too. Sleep came slowly in the cold desert night. They knew the next day would be even harder, but for now they had a moment of peace. Together, they were stronger. The sun rose slowly. casting soft light over the desert. Marcus and Zyra woke feeling tired but ready to continue their journey. The night had been cold, but the stars had kept them company. Now the heat was returning, and the day promised to be difficult. Marcus helped Zyra stand. Her body was still weak, but she refused to stay down. She was a queen, after all, and pride gave her strength. Marcus could see the determination in her eyes. As they walked, the silence between them began to ease. Zyra looked around at the desert landscape, her eyes full of curiosity. "This place is harsh," she said. "Your planet must be very different." Marcus smiled. "Earth has many climates. Some are like this desert. Others have forests, oceans, mountains. It is a big planet." Zyra's eyes brightened. "I want to see it one day." Marcus laughed softly. "Maybe you will. But first you must survive this desert." They continued walking, step by step. Marcus noticed Zyra watching him closely. He wondered what she thought of humans. "Do you trust me?" Marcus asked suddenly. Zyra hesitated. "Trust is not easy for me. I am used to power, not kindness." Marcus nodded. "I understand, but I am here to help. You are not alone." Slowly, Zyra reached out and touched Marcus's arm. It was a small gesture, but it meant a lot. "Thank you," she said, "for saving me and for walking with me." Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. This journey was changing both of them. As the day grew hotter, they stopped to rest under a lone tree. The shade was a small comfort in the endless desert. Marcus took out some food and water. He offered it to Zyra, who ate slowly. Her strength was returning, but she still needed care. While they rested, Marcus asked about Zyra's people. She told him about her planet, a world of shining cities and powerful technology. Her people valued honor and loyalty. Marcus shared stories about Earth, too, about its people, its struggles, and its hopes. They laughed together, and the distance between human and alien began to fade. But their moment of peace did not last long. Suddenly, Marcus heard a noise behind them. It was faint but clear, footsteps in the sand. He stood quickly, looking around. Zyra tensed beside him. "Enemies?" Marcus whispered. Zyra nodded. "Yes, they have found us." Marcus grabbed a small weapon from his pack. It was a stun pistol, not meant for serious fighting, but better than nothing. Together they moved quietly through the trees, trying to hide. From the shadows, Marcus saw a group of figures approaching. They were tall and wore armor that shimmered in the sun. Their faces were hidden behind helmets. "Kazkar hunters," Zyra said in a low voice. "They want to capture me." Marcus's heart pounded. These were dangerous people, skilled and ruthless. He looked at Zyra. "We have to be smart. We can't fight them head on." Zyra nodded. "I will follow your lead." Using the trees and rocks as cover, they moved carefully, staying out of sight. Marcus used his knowledge of the terrain to find a path around the hunters. The hunters searched loudly, calling out for the queen. Marcus and Zyra held their breath, moving silently behind. After what felt like hours, the hunters gave up and left, their voices fading into the distance. Marcus sighed in relief. "That was close." Zyra smiled faintly. "You saved me again." Marcus shook his head. "We saved each other." The danger reminded them of their fragile situation. The desert was not just a harsh place, but a battleground. They needed to stay strong and trust one another more than ever. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with gold and purple, Marcus and Zyra found a small valley to rest. They sat by, a fire Marcus made, sharing warmth and stories. Zyra looked at Marcus and said softly, "I have never met a human like you. You are kind and brave." Marcus smiled. I am just doing what I can. Zira reached out, holding Marcus's hand. Thank you. For everything. Marcus squeezed her hand gently. We will get through this. Together. The stars appeared. Again, and the night grew calm. In the quiet desert, two strangers, a human and an alien queen, had found something rare, trust and friendship. The morning sun was strong as Marcus and Zira woke in the small valley. The night had been quiet, but the danger was far from over. The desert was full of surprises, and they both knew enemies were still close. Marcus packed their few supplies carefully. Zira moved slowly but with more strength than before. The wounds on her arms and legs were healing, but the pain still lingered. We must keep moving, Marcus said. The research base is not far now, maybe 20 miles. Zira nodded, her eyes sharp. Good, but we must be careful. The hunters might be near. As they walked, the heat grew intense. The sun climbed high in the sky, and the sand burned under their feet. The silence of the desert was heavy, filled only with the sound of their footsteps and soft breathing. Suddenly, Marcus stopped. He raised his hand to signal Zira to be quiet. Up ahead, he saw shadows moving between the rocks. Hunters, Zira whispered. They found us again. Marcus felt a surge of adrenaline. The Kazkar hunters were close and dangerous. They wanted to capture Zira to use her power for their own gain. Marcus looked around for a plan. Fighting was risky. They were tired and low on supplies, but he could not let Zira fall into enemy hands. Follow me, he said quietly. We will use the rocks for cover and try to move around them. Zira trusted him. Together they moved slowly, staying low behind the rocky outcrops. The hunters shouted orders, their voices harsh and angry. Marcus saw one hunter pointing a strange weapon at them. It glowed with a red light, ready to fire. Without thinking, Marcus grabbed a heavy rock and threw it far to the right. It crashed, loudly, drawing the hunter's attention. Now! Marcus shouted to Zira. They ran quickly to the left, using the confusion to escape. Sand kicked up around their feet as they sprinted, but one hunter saw them and shouted a warning. Marcus felt a sharp pain in his side. The hunter's weapon had hit him with a stun blast. His legs went weak, and he stumbled. Zira turned back without hesitation. She grabbed the hunter's arm and twisted it. The hunter cried out and dropped the weapon. Are you okay? Zira asked, helping Marcus to stand. I will be, Marcus said, wincing. Thank you. The hunters regrouped and came closer. Marcus and Zira backed into a small canyon. It was narrow, but it gave them a chance to defend themselves. The hunters advanced slowly, weapons ready. Marcus and Zira stood side by side, ready to fight if they had to. Marcus held his stun pistol firmly. Zira's eyes glowed brighter and a strange energy seemed to flow from her. You will not take me, Zira said, her voice strong and clear. The hunters hesitated. They had not expected Zira to fight back. With a sudden burst, Zira raised her hands. A wave of light shot toward the hunters, pushing them back. Several stumbled, their weapons falling from their hands. Marcus took the chance and fired his pistol. The blasts stunned two hunters, making them fall to the ground. The remaining hunters, shocked and scared, turned and ran. Marcus and Zira watched them disappear among the rocks. Are you hurt? Zira asked. Marcus touched his side. The pain was dull but still there. I will live. We must keep going. Zira nodded. Your bravery saved us. They took a moment to rest, catching their breath. The fight had been close and the danger real. Marcus looked at Zira with new respect. She was not just a queen, she was a fierce warrior. We make a good team, he said with a tired smile. Yes, Zira agreed. Together we are stronger. The sun began to lower and the desert's colors changed. Red and gold painted the sky as they continued toward the research base. The journey was far from over, but Marcus and Zyra knew they had each other, and that made all the difference. After hours of walking under the burning sun, Marcus and Zyra finally saw the outline of the research base. It stood like a small island of metal and glass in the middle of the harsh desert. The walls reflected the sunlight, and small antennas reached up to the sky. It was their hope for safety. Marcus felt relief wash over him. "We made it," he said softly. Zyra nodded, her violet eyes tired but alive. "Yes, but the danger is not gone." They approached the entrance carefully. The base was quiet, but Marcus knew they would find help inside. As they entered, a group of scientists and medics rushed to greet them. One of them, a woman named Dr. Lena, quickly took charge. She saw Zyra's wounds and immediately began treating her. Marcus watched as the medics worked. Zyra's strength seemed to return bit by bit. The cool air inside the base was a welcome change from the harsh desert. Zyra looked at Marcus with gratitude. "Thank you for bringing me here." Marcus smiled. "I would do it again." Days passed, and Zyra's health improved. She shared stories about her planet, a world of shining cities, great knowledge, and deep traditions. Marcus listened carefully, fascinated by her tales. One evening, as the desert sun set behind the base, Zyra spoke seriously. "My people are at risk. The hunters who chased me want to take control. If they succeed, it could mean war." Marcus frowned. "We need to warn your people and prepare for what may come." Zyra nodded. "Yes, but first I must regain my full strength." The base scientists helped with advanced treatments. Machines hummed softly, healing Zyra's wounds faster than Marcus could imagine. During her recovery, Zyra and Marcus spent more time together. They talked about their differences and similarities. Zyra admired Marcus's courage and kindness. Marcus respected Zyra's wisdom and strength. One afternoon, Zyra said quietly, "You saved me when no one else could." "You risked your life for a stranger?" Marcus looked into her eyes. "You're not a stranger anymore." The bond between them grew stronger. Trust and respect turned into something deeper. But their peaceful days were soon interrupted. One morning, alarms blared through the base. Soldiers rushed to the walls. Marcus and Zyra ran outside to see enemy ships approaching. "They found us," Zyra said, her voice steady but fierce. Marcus tightened his fists. "We will not let them take you." The base prepared for defense. Scientists and soldiers worked side by side, setting up shields and weapons. Zyra stood with Marcus, ready to fight for her people and their new alliance. As the enemy ships drew closer, Marcus felt a fierce pride. This was more than a fight for survival. It was a battle for trust, friendship, and a future shared between two worlds. The enemy ships darkened the sky above the research base. Their engines roared and weapons glowed ominously. Marcus and Zyra stood side by side, ready to face the coming battle. Soldiers prepared defenses, and scientists activated shields that shimmered like glass. The base was small but strong. Zyra looked at Marcus. "This fight is not just for me. It is for my people and yours." Marcus nodded. "We fight together." The enemy ships fired first. Beams of energy struck the shields, causing sparks and flashes. The ground shook under the power of the weapons. Marcus helped guide the soldiers, moving quickly and calmly. He fired his weapon at approaching drones protecting the base. Zyra used her power too. She raised her hands, sending waves of light that disrupted enemy weapons and slowed their advance. The battle was fierce. Both sides showed strength and skill, but Marcus and Zyra's teamwork made a difference. At one moment, a large enemy drone broke through the shield and moved toward the base's main hall. Marcus ran after it, dodging blasts. He climbed a nearby tower and fired his stun pistol directly at the drone's core. The drone exploded in a shower of sparks. Zira smiled, her strength growing. "You are brave, Marcus," he grinned back. "So are you." The enemy ships began to retreat, their weapons failing against the base's defenses and the combined efforts of humans and Zira's power. When the sky cleared, silence returned. The battle was over. Zira turned to Marcus. "We won because we trusted each other." Marcus nodded. "And because we fought as one." The scientists repaired the damage, and the base returned to its quiet hum. Days later, Zira called a meeting with Marcus and the leaders of the research base. "My people need allies," she said. "Your help saved my life and protected my home. I offer a new alliance between our worlds." The leaders listened carefully. They saw the value in Zira's offer and the bravery of Marcus. Together, they planned a future of cooperation, sharing knowledge, resources, and protection. Zira looked at Marcus, her eyes shining. "I never expected to find a friend in a human. Now I want more." Marcus smiled softly. "We are stronger together. This is only the beginning." The desert outside was still and quiet, but inside the base, hope burned bright. Two worlds, once strangers, were now united. Their journey had started with a simple act of kindness. Now it would shape the future of the galaxy.